Welcome to Legal Keys, unlocking time, revenue, and results. The podcast that connects you with the people, technologies, and trending topics shaping the modern legal landscape. From cutting-edge AI innovations to high-growth marketing strategies and everything in between. Legal Keys is your go-to resource for actionable insights. Brought to you by Faster Outcomes and hosted by Tim Sawyer, two-time Inc. 500 co-founder entrepreneur. We're here to help you navigate the tools and trends driving success in today's legal world.
Hello, welcome back to Legal Keys. Psyched to have our guest today. Believe it or not, this is our 22nd episode, the second episode of Season 2. I'm your host, Tim Sawyer. For those of you who've been following us, we appreciate your loyal following. For those joining us for the first time today, as I like to say, you picked a great episode. We have an amazing guest today that I can't wait to introduce. As always, we want to thank our sponsor, Faster Outcomes. Faster Outcomes is the ultimate AI-powered legal intelligence platform for lawyers and law firms of all shapes and sizes. And with that said, I'd like to introduce my guest today. Nick Cohen is the COO at Matador Solutions and a licensed California attorney. His career sits at the intersection of law, business, marketing, and technology, all of which are my favorite topics, so we should be able to have some fun today. Nick started building websites and learning WordPress at just 12 years old, helping his family's personal injury firm, Cohen & Cohen, generate cases online. He later attended Loyola Law's evening program while working full-time. Congratulations to you, Nick. Gaining firsthand experience balancing legal practice with operational growth. Today, Nick leads Matador's co-op strategy, can't wait to hear about that, helping more than 150 law firms nationwide implement smarter case acquisition, super important to our audience, AI-powered workflows, and data-driven litigation strategies, all of which we're going to unpack over the next 30 minutes or so. With that said, Nick, welcome to Legal Keys, man. Appreciate it.
Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So my first question, it's interesting, the last line in your bio says that while staying grounded in the ethical and human responsibilities of practicing law. And the first question that I have is someone who spends a lot of time speaking with lawyers and traveling the country. How has the emergence of AI impacted that statement, staying grounded in the ethical and human responsibilities of practicing law?
Yeah, I think if you look at like the ethical piece from a marketer's point of view, AI is a fantastic tool, whether we're talking about for writing quality SEO content, we're citing statutes and potentially writing about case law or new laws that are coming out. You have to be very careful with that because from Google's standpoint, law is a your money or your life industry, which means we're at a higher threshold to show your intelligence, your expertise. On the attorney's side, the cost of a mistake, whether we cite a bad law and put it on the website or AI hallucinates, that's massive. And we've all heard the cases on that. And I think like it's pretty well settled now that everyone should be having smarter AI policies and how you do it. Whether people are following it, that's a different issue. I think a lot about the human component with AI and the massive adoption. And my thoughts on this are actually, pretty strong because I think it's very easy to say, I'm going to AI my intake and I'm going to AI all my emails. I'm going to AI my paralegal and I'm going to AI this and you're going to call my office and you're going to speak to an AI and I'm going to be the most profitable law firm ever. And then, okay, fine. But here's the thing I think a lot of people don't realize, or a lot of people forget. When somebody is calling a lawyer, most of the time, some bad shit is happening to them, right? Whether they've been injured, they're going bankrupt, they're getting divorced, whatever it is. And so you need to have this like human component to your practice in order to really thrive. And I think that will actually be a differentiator in the future is how human are you? Now, I'm not talking about operations, requesting medical records, doing that sort of stuff, but customer service right now, in my opinion, should be heavily focused on humans as the forefront with AI tools supporting them.
And it's interesting, you bring up a good point. So I always look at marketing and sales, and they go in that order on a continuum, right? And so sales in law firm is essentially intake, right? When you get that customer. So success with what you're doing on the digital side is largely predicated on what they're doing on the intake side, right? How closely they're monitoring that intake process. Do you see a strong desire by the legal community to start to actually automate that? Are there a lot of I know there's companies that do it. Mm-hmm. Is adoption getting traction with actually having an AI bot go, "Hi, I'm Jerry from Jerry's Law Firm"?
I think the AI like chat bot, right? If you look at how people get to you, right, from your website, it's typically a phone call, contact form, or a chat bot. And these like sort of quasi AI or AI chat bots have been around forever. They perform fine, right? Contact form, there's value to having at least automation, maybe not AI, that you send an immediate email on. Phones are where the biggest opportunity for AI lives, but we're starting to see people have demand for it when they look at some of their intake costs. We're starting to see some of that. I think, and this is something that a lot of marketers will say, which is fix your intake, right? Fix your intake. And it's something that, now I have a law firm and I spent years of my life preaching intake, but most of these people have never actually done intake, right? They've never actually sat down and talked to that person for 20 minutes while they tell you about their case. And if it's a big case, how do you sell on the credentials of your firm and why to get the big case? And I think a lot of the law firms I work with, because I'm preaching this all day, like human stuff plus AI on the automation side. But something I've been thinking about lately is and realizing is AI is so important for intake and certain automations, but a human is still the most valuable component. It's just how efficient is that human? And I think a lot of marketers will say, you can AI this and you can AI that, and intake is the most important thing. But until you've actually done intake, you've really sat there and you've either missed that call because you were 10 minutes late to get into your voicemail or 10 minutes late to calling them back and they went to the next firm, or you've called them 60 seconds later and then it's 9 o'clock at night and you're sitting there for 25 minutes listening to somebody's story. You can't really appreciate the importance of humans in this process. Now, you should use AI or automation to pre-qualify, right? So you're efficient, for sure.
Yeah. And I think there's a place for it, and I see it more and more now, of looking at when you're doing an autopsy on what happened throughout the day, right? So did we answer the phone on time? What was the call sentiment like? To your point, using AI to boil down, hey, how much time elapsed from hello to when we talked to them? Did they get transferred? Or there's a lot of great AI tools that can certainly tighten that up. I think you probably know better than me in terms of those workflows. I certainly think there's a place for that. And I attend a lot of trade shows, and I see the presentations by those folks who are working towards creating, the AI agent. When the person goes, "Oh, is Rob in today?" "Oh, actually, Rob just stepped out," and trying to nail that piece. And it's funny because, as I mentioned, I'm friendly with Rob Levine, and he's very much, I wouldn't use the phrase stuck, wouldn't be right, but his concern is the lapse in time. There's an unnatural lapse in time from when a human stops speaking to when either a natural human speaks or an artificial intelligence bot speaks. The delay. He's like, he spends a lot of time listening to that, and to your point, has done it, right? And I think you said something very profound. So go sit for 2 hours and take calls from live humans who just got bit by a dog.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah.
And do it in a way that, you're trying to be efficient. There's only so many hours. I get it. I get the demand for efficiency. I really do. And to squeeze as much of that efficiency out of the process as you can. I picked it up immediately while being grounded in humanity, right? And I think that's going to be the tension on the neck with AI, is what percentage stays human and what percentage we're willing to cut loose and kind of see what happens. So it's a fun time. Now, at Cohen and Cohen, and forgive my ignorance, you still have a part in that? That's a going concern, right? That's a personal injury law firm, or have you converted that to? So
Cohen and Cohen is the law firm started by my parents over 30 years ago. That's how I started, learned everything. Matador was built out of that. I then have, and that's located in Washington, D.C. They serve D.C., Maryland, Virginia. I have my own law firm with my dad in California. Okay. His name's also Cohen. The firm name is Cohen Injury Law Group. Yep. And that's a California law firm. And
so your time is spent on the business side, right?
Yeah. I don't personally litigate. I don't take cases personally. My dad is a 30-year trial lawyer, done 100 jury trials. My time is spent mostly at the law firm end on business development, customer service, and at Matador, I'm operating the business.
So let's take a minute and talk about that, because clearly that's where your expertise lies, right? So one of the biggest challenges a law firm has, and I was on your LinkedIn profile and saw some of the great work that you did in SEO for a bankruptcy lawyer, and right, is they need cases. So if you talk to any lawyer, the first problem they're trying to solve for is we need clients, right? There's an old saying, when money is needed, little else will suffice, right? So you can talk about all the technology in the world, but if you don't have cases,
who cares?
Who cares? And so that's your expertise. So talk a little bit about the typical, what's the avatar, right? And what are some of the challenges that you see? And AI is disrupting digital a little bit. I'm sure you've got some strong opinions on that. So if you think about small, medium, large size law firms, what are some of the challenges that you're seeing, and how is Matador addressing those?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about ways to get cases, there's only a couple of ways, right? You can get cases from personal referrals, right? So feet on the street, building relationships, that takes time. You can get referrals from past clients, and then you have marketing, right? And marketing can mean billboards, it can mean TV, radio, all of which are extremely expensive, none of which Matador touches. Then we look at the internet marketing standpoint, and the internet marketing world is just as crazy. You can be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, trying to rank in AI, trying to rank in Google, trying to run pay-per-click, run LSAs. It's a confusing world, and very quickly you can look and start to say, where's all my money going? I'm making all this revenue, but I don't have any profit, because maybe my cost per case is, my even blended cost per case across all my marketing is 40% of my case value, and I don't have profit after I pay employees and everything else and rent. I think the most confusing aspect for attorneys today is where to invest time, effort, money, energy. And one of the things that I always seek to do is just explain it, right? And not sell it and say, okay, you have this channel and the average cost per case in these markets is X. And then you typically see ROI in 60 days. And then you have SEO and some GEO now, but I don't know if we'll get into that today. And this is the typical time frame for a firm like yours in a market like yours. Here's 4 other markets similar to yours that we've done it in. Here's the exact time frame it took, and here's what you can expect. There's no silver bullet. Marketing is multi-channel, right? If you generate your reviews, you're going to do better on online case acquisition. If you're involved in the community, you're going to do better in online case acquisition. And so one of the challenges, like most people coming to Matador, like probably 70% of people coming out of a really bad marketing relationship. And when I say bad relationship,
Agency somewhere.
Yeah, and that's not to say the agency was bad. Most of the time it's about results, and they haven't been explained things clearly. And so I focus heavily on education, and my work is turnkey, but most of the time people are confused, frustrated, burned out, and they just don't know where to turn or what to do.
Yeah. I can imagine that's daunting for the law firm, right? And they're lawyers. They didn't go to business school. They didn't go to they didn't get advanced marketing degrees, and which why I give you a lot of credit for being able to kind of straddle that. But I would think that's the biggest challenge, right? Is for a lawyer to try to discern what this is going to look like. And so when you take that approach, is it generally accepted? Because I can picture the lawyer going, yeah, I know I need to get more reviews, but how do I get the leads?
Yeah.
I know I got to work on anything, but how are you going to get the leads? How do you keep them we have to look at this in 360, right? It's almost like counseling at some level, right?
Yeah, it is. And I think one of the things I do is we don't do if you look at a sales cycle, right, for someone joining us, we don't do like a 2-call sales cycle ever. We like to have, we won't even do it. If someone's like sending me the contract after call 2, we actually don't do that. We'll expand it. We like to make sure you know exactly what your inputs are, what our inputs are, what the expected outputs are. And then I'm pretty clear with people, like, here's your homework, right? And your homework is you're at 25 Google reviews, and next time we talk, I want you to be at 30 Google reviews, and all my account managers are trained like that. And I think when you phrase it as more of a partnership approach, which is really what we seek to be, then you end up having much more fruitful relationships. and people who are involved. My work is turnkey, but like we don't work with people if you don't talk to us once a month at least. We just won't do it. And so it's actually in my contracts. And so I think when you reframe it a little bit as a partnership and you're hyper explanatory, but you don't do it in a way that is like magic or confusing to people, because a lot of the stuff out there is intentionally confusing, then you typically get better results.
Got it. So let's do a quick review. One, right, is let's find someone that'll take a consultative approach to this. Look at your current state with a sober-minded lens. Here's where you're at. Mm-hmm. Here's the reality of how long and how much it's going to take based on their stated goals, right? That's where you come in. And then looking at it in totality, the partnership is, hey, we're going to work together. You got it. There's some work you need to do, right? And they need Google reviews impact it, right? Listening to phone calls, being mindful of, getting back to people in reasonable times. I'm sure all those things influence outcomes. So I think that's great. And then as far as where are we at in terms of digital, as far as the impact of AI? So meaning search, I know there's a small percentage of folks, 6 or 7% last time I think I saw, people getting served up ads on some of the larger, Claude and ChatGPT. And how is that progressing? Are you seeing that as a bigger impact? And what are you guys doing at Matador to improve or increase the presence of folks?
Yeah, so when we talk about AI search, the formal name is called, right, you have search engine optimization, which is how do you rank on a search engine, which typically you have a list of results, right? With AI search, the term that has won is generative engine optimization. And you have people that are searching all these different ways using these generative engines, whether they are using ChatGPT, Google AI mode, Claude, Perplexity, Grok, etc. Now, what we knew 6 months ago about AI search has changed today. And the thing I think that's important to understand about AI search is there's a lot of people using it, right? To speak on your point about listening to the calls, one of the things I do for everyone I work with is we actually prepare a call tracking report. So we will prepare a list of every single call that came in. And if we see something that hit voicemail or that we see a really good case, we'll email somebody and say, what happened here? Did you sign it? Sometimes people say, I never even got it. Then we'll investigate it. And so with AI search, we're hearing people find people primarily on ChatGPT. People don't pick up the phone and say, I saw you on AI mode, right? That's not because they think it's Google. 6 months ago, these algorithms were pretty separate, right? So GEO is not really an algorithm, but you used to see a pretty low match rate between ChatGPT and Google SERPs. We're seeing a higher match rate between those right now. My prediction is that in 18 months, everyone is going to open up Google and it's going to look like a chatbot, just about. And I think that's the way it's going. Google is making some interesting moves right now in terms of a recent partnership with Apple to try to solidify themselves as the leader in AI search. Certainly it's changing. Certainly we don't have the 20 years of studying the data either, right? We have Google patents and Google algorithm updates. We just don't have this level of information on AI search right now. So the people that are winning AI search, or the agencies, of which there are many that are winning AI search and that are at the forefront of it, what winning looks like now is testing, iterating, and staying involved, because when we do start to truly understand them, then those agencies and those firms are going to win.
Is it too early to start looking at comparable costs? Meaning, can you even figure out what it costs to get somebody off of ChatGPT or, versus a Google search or, PPC kind of thing?
So we'll look at it, how I look at it is blended, right? Because part of our service is this geo optimization, whether we're doing directory listings or changing how we write the content. We look at it all as one bundle. But I think if somebody said, I can promise you I'm going to get you $1,000 per case from ChatGPT, they would be lying. Having spent a lot of money on understanding this and consultants who are machine learning engineers and study this stuff, it's not at that phase yet. But we do know that really good SEO, typical SEO, plus a really good digital presence, whether that's social media or third-party reviews or directory listings, that seems to have the biggest impact today.
Yeah. I'm friendly with a law firm. I was thinking this through. So they spend, I won't say the name, they spend $13 million a year in advertising. And I was like, so as someone who, like I said, my background is in digital marketing, our options were pretty, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So
Yeah.
this comes with X number of this. It was very, what I call industrial
Yeah.
marketing, right? You pick a package, you get X number of blogs, X number of backlinks, X number.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty linear.
Sure.
And they, plastic surgeon would spend $3,000-4,000 a month. Maybe they have a PC budget that gets them to 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, $13 million.
Yeah, it's insane. Be my client. Yeah. Yeah. There's heavy hitters.
But to your point, I was thinking about it. It's like the margins, right? I didn't realize it until that moment because I knew some other data points around what the actual acquisition cost is as it relates to the size of the settlement, and it was startling. So
Yeah.
are you seeing that that war's got to be pretty intense right now on Google, right? Is that going up in certain markets? It's just got to be. Let me ask you this. If I'm, Tim Sawyer law firm and I just opened up, it's me and my buddy, right? And
Yeah.
we're going to open up in LA and we want to compete for personal injury cases. What is the probability? What kind of damage? What would you say to that guy? What would you say to me?
Someone said, I want to get an office in downtown LA and I want to be number one for LA personal injury lawyer. You need to have a big war chest, a real big war chest. Now, I deal with a lot of people who will go pick a population or an area that's 100,000 people, right? Irvine or Diamond Bar or Bakersfield. And I would suggest you start there because without a massive war chest, it's very hard to compete. And even with a massive war chest, you're talking about 12 months in a market like that. But when we have, most of my firms are 2 to 15 lawyer firms, right? That's our bread and butter. And about half of our firms are personal injury law firms. And so, obviously it starts with goals, right? I have firms that want 3 cases a month and all they want are really good cases and they'll reject everything. I have firms that get, are at the 60 case a month range and they're, more dynamic with what they'll spend. And then, we'll say, we try to be prudent advisors, right, on what they need to do. And okay, you want to do LSAs. Here's the cost per case in a market similar to yours. Here's what you can expect. You need to know. And I can tell people to a T, like, to be successful in LSAs, you have to convert between 10 and 13% to hit around a $2,000 cost per case, which is what we're happy with. Now, the ad channel, right? When LSAs came out, they were fantastic. I was getting PI cases for firms we work with at like $500 a case.
Wow.
Which is insane. Those days are gone. Right now, we hit between.
You said now you're about 2,000.
Yeah, I have some markets where I'm at, 1,700. Others were at 2,500, which. The problem is the big firms, they'll do this across 50 cases in a month and they'll break even on 49 of them because one of them is going to be really big at that level.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've enjoyed getting to know, like I said, I've been in law for about 15 months now. Mm-hmm. And every time I love the podcast because I meet great people, super smart people like yourself, and it's educational, and there's a lot of value that we bring to the folks who listen. So I really appreciate your time. And in the last couple minutes we have together, what I wanted to talk about is get some advice from you, right? So I noticed in the bio, you do some work with AI-powered workflows, right? Mm-hmm. So you're helping firms understand and ingest AI in ways that are meaningful and profitable.
Yeah.
So if you think about faster outcomes like you, my average client, 5 to 10 lawyers, they're doing everything from doc generation to building the cases inside the platform. We've got a really advanced chat feature that allows them to build the case and identify how to maximize the value of the case. And it's super sophisticated and it works well. And now, as a little commercial, we're introducing the concept, or just introduced the concept of playbooks, which is the next level of AI, where instead of you figuring out, I watched a talk a couple weeks ago, 2025, we built the car. Now the car is learning how to drive itself.
Yep.
So if you've got, a slip and fall case on a construction site, then it goes level 1, level 2, level 3, and it's called runs, right? And we keep doing that until they get to the optimum answer, and then build the demand. How are you look at that law firm, 10, right? 10 lawyers, 10 employees, right? So a couple lawyers, a couple paralegals. Someone answering the phone. What conversations are you having? And let's use personal injury. What conversations are you having with them? What are they trying to accomplish? And how can I do a better job serving that community?
Yeah, I mean, I think the future of law is very ingrained with AI where appropriate. And I think it's a competitive advantage that a lot of these small firms have, because if they're not bloated with staff and marketing spend and all this other stuff, right, and they have solid case flows, so let's assume solid case flows there. The idea is that AI should be able to increase your workload, right? And every year, maybe that increases your efficiency by 30% this year, right? And in 5 years, you're looking at a 70% increase in efficiency. And so those conversations we're having are identifying areas where there's time spent, right? Hard time, okay? And saying, okay, can you get a well-trained paralegal to operate this system and to say, okay, now we're gonna do I really need my paralegal doing medical records retrieval, or can I send that out and have that done and have someone managing the system for that? Or can I invest more in my pre-litigation team by empowering a paralegal and a managing attorney to use an AI tool to prepare things faster and handle a greater caseload? Those are what a lot of those conversations look like. And tomorrow we're actually hosting a masterclass for one half of what Matador does is all case acquisition. The other half is the sharing of information and best practices and partnerships. And actually tomorrow we're hosting a masterclass with a bunch of fractional CFOs only for our client or co-op member base. And we're talking about this stuff and saying there are opportunities that you have hard costs that you can reduce. And that's the future. I mean, I think these small firms that are ahead of the game on this, assuming they have case flow, these are the ones that are going to win long term.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, the conversation, and they're fortunate to have someone like you guide them through that, well, helping them define ultimately what they're trying to accomplish, right? To your point, just throwing out AI and saying, I'm going to AI that, or I'm going to, it's like papering over, you know.
Yeah.
If we don't have concrete goals, deliverables, how are we going to measure success? I think that makes a big difference. And I'm sure, and the fractional CEOs, the CMOs and CFOs would love that language, right? Anything that increases accountability and efficiency.
Yeah, I think, and one thing I would add is there's a study that came out, I think it was MIT that did the study that said like 93% of enterprise AI agents at Fortune 500 companies failed. And I think you don't have to make this leap overnight. You can identify one process, one system, right? Change it, make sure it works over 2 months. The world is changing really, really fast, but not so fast that you have to blow everything up overnight either.
And I think, so I was actually in California. I sat on a panel, and the people that were on it were super successful. To your point, you know, like the top law 200.
Yeah.
They all had that bent. But what was interesting was they kept saying CEO, CFO, and there's 200 lawyers in the room. I said, how many people in here work in a law firm with more than 5 lawyers? One guy.
Yeah.
He almost had an advantage. I said the other 199 had the advantage because she cited that stat.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that. She said 90% of AI attempts fail. Part of she was talking about big law was, well, part of the issue is you got to convince the CFO that taking something that would take 100 hours to do, they can now do in a half hour. Yep. He's going to say, how does that help me?
Yeah, well, you got billables and all that sort of stuff.
Like,
I mean,
we're not all about that.
No, but if you're a contingency firm, or you're an estate planning firm, or you're a bankruptcy firm, you've got great opportunity to leverage this stuff.
Yeah, the more nimble, the smaller law firms, I think, have an advantage.
Yeah.
So awesome time to get. How can people get? I know folks are going to listen to this and go, I want to talk to that guy. I'm all screwed up. I need to get organized. Where do people go to get a hold of you?
My website is matadorsolutions.net. You can always email me personally. It's nick@matadorsolutions.net, MATADOR solutions.net.
And your avatar is someone who, individual law firm up to 100 lawyers, right?
Yeah, I mean, our specialty is 2 to 15 lawyers, typically where we'll land. Yeah, 2 to 15. Yeah.
Well, I certainly would I appreciate the thoughtful approach as someone who spent some time in digital marketing, and I encourage our listeners to go to the site, shoot Nick an email. Either way, whether you end up working with him or not, I'm sure you're going to learn something. I'm confident of that. And as always, want to thank our sponsor, Faster Outcomes, the ultimate AI-powered legal intelligence platform for lawyers and law firms of all shapes and sizes. Nick, we appreciate you taking the time today. Look forward to doing this again. Hopefully we can connect over a webinar or something. Or coffee next time out in California.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.